Alexandra Kinova and Antonin Kroshin were partners. They loved each other and agreed that one day they wanted a huge family. They just didn't know that it was right around the corner. They thought they would have plenty of time to plan it all. But Alexandra realized she was pregnant with twins. Or at least, that's what she thought. When she decided to get an ultrasound, the truth was revealed. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Generally, when partners discover they are expecting, they become very excited. When Alexandra Kinova and her partner Antonin Kroskin realized they were going to have a child together, they were really thrilled. When Alexandra found out she was pregnant, she was only 23 years old. But that didn't dishearten her. She already had a son before this, and what could another do but bring more joy? With one child already in her life, she thought she knew how it would go. How different could this pregnancy be from the last? When she decided to get checked by the doctor, he told her something that she would never forget. The information would change her life. Kinova assumed that one pregnancy meant one child. That's how it usually goes. It turns out that what was growing inside her wasn't just one child, but two. Twins aren't entirely uncommon, and women throughout history have been having twins. But there was something about her pregnancy that would make headlines everywhere. Had she been taken by aliens in the night and brought to their ship? Was she carrying not human babies, but alien ones instead? Was Antonin not the real dad? Alexandra didn't understand what was going on, but soon enough, after all the tests, the doctors would no longer leave her waiting and tell her what they had found. The only thing that the first ultrasound told the doctors and Alexandra was that she was pregnant. At least she knew that much, right? In her early stages of pregnancy, the doctors told her she was doing well and was healthy. But no one could have guessed what the ultrasound would pick up. When the ultrasound was finally scheduled and Alexandra had her appointment, the doctors confirmed that she was carrying not one, but two little infants in her belly. She was twice as happy as before. She couldn't believe it, and nor could her husband. They were having two babies. But what they presumed to be true turned out to be premature. As Alexandra got further into her pregnancy, they started planning for two babies. They got all the necessities for twins, clothing, furniture, and cribs. They wanted their twins to be the most comfortable babies possible. What they were unaware of at the time would come around and change their plans drastically. As the time passed between checkups, Kinova never expected that her pregnancy was out of the ordinary, or that it would soon become international news. As Kinova's pregnancy continued, she once again felt that something was wrong. So she counted the days until her next doctor's appointment and assured herself that everything would be fine until then. When her next doctor's appointment came around, her doctors looked at her medical records and back at Kinova and seemed baffled. Her husband, who was by her side during her first pregnancy and who joined his wife to all of her doctor's appointments, couldn't guess what the doctors were expecting to find in this ultrasound. He also didn't suspect that he would soon have more on his plate than he could handle. Even as her husband and doctors showed concern for Kinova, she didn't let her confidence waver. She knew that she had taken good care of herself since finding out that she was pregnant, and she never missed a dose of her prenatal vitamins. As Kinova was taken to a hospital room for her appointment, she overheard doctors speaking in hushed tones around her and throwing concerned glances her way. The glances that her doctors gave her as they lead her to her room was worrisome. Kinova's ultrasound was a fairly routine procedure, as it is for any expectant mother. But her doctors were concerned at just how much her stomach had grown in the few months that she was pregnant. That's when doctors gave the couple some news that left them shaken to the core. When the doctors told her she wasn't carrying twins, she assumed they meant that one of the babies had passed away in utero. Perhaps one of the twins absorbed the other twin, which tends to happen during multiple births. But that wasn't the case either. If Canova wasn't expecting twins, what was going on? The answer was something that hadn't been seen in nearly 500 years. At just one glance, her doctors knew that Canova's pregnancy wasn't normal for a woman expecting twins. Her stomach had grown at a rate that wasn't normal for a woman even expecting triplets. Was Canova expecting triplets? Like anything in medicine, it was hard to tell. Her ultrasound proved that she was at least expecting more babies than she initially was told, but they weren't sure just how many she could expect. For a moment, her heart sank when doctors told her she wasn't having twins. Luckily, she was still pregnant. And once she found out the real story, she simply couldn't believe it. The doctors told her she wasn't carrying twins, but she wasn't carrying triplets either. She didn't know how many babies were coming. She didn't know how many babies were coming. After making sure for themselves, the doctors broke the news that she was having quadruplets. Understandably, the couple was startled. They initially thought they'd only have 2 children. Suddenly, they realized they were going to have 5 children in total, including the one they already had. And just when they thought they were through with surprises, another one popped up unexpectedly. Canova and Kroshen rushed to the store and started buying for the 2 extra babies they hadn't foreseen. There was still one more surprise. The couple already knew they were having 4 babies. But this time, the ultrasound showed that there was a 5th baby in utero. Canova was having quintuplets. But why hadn't doctors detected it before? Doctors didn't know about the 5th baby right away because there were so many fetuses in Canova's belly. Canova wasn't expecting sextuplets, but she still wanted to know the gender of the babies so she could figure out how many blue baby outfits versus pink outfits they had to buy. Unfortunately, with so many babies, doctors couldn't make out the gender of the unborn fetuses yet. But would they find out before the birth? The couple had to wait until the babies were born to figure out their genders. When Canova went into labor, there were 40 people in the room to take care of her and the quintuplets. Doctors at her hospital had never experienced a multiple birth with so many babies, so extra hands were on deck to keep mother and children safe. Each baby was looked after by 2 nurses as soon as they were born to check their vitals and make sure they were healthy. It is a common occurrence during multiple births for 1 or more of the babies to experience health problems or not live long after the birth. It was vital that these nurses checked on each and every baby immediately. Because of the amount of babies, Canova needed to deliver by C-section under the supervision of many doctors. This was the safest method of delivery to ensure that there weren't any unnecessary birth complications. After just a few days of recovery, Canova and all 5 of her new babies left the hospital to start their life as a family together. The couple was so happy with their new family. But how many boys and girls did they end up having? Canova's mother and her husband's mother not only assisted Canova in carrying the babies out of the hospital, they also joined the new parents at their home for the next few weeks to help take care of their grandchildren. But they also insisted on asking for government assistance for their grandchildren because the births soon became national news. Canova and Kroshen were beyond happy with their new family. She gave birth to 4 boys, which she named Daniel, Michael, Alex, and Martin. She also gave birth to a girl named Tereska, but she had no idea she had broken a record. But what made these babies so special? Dieter Makarova was interviewed by The Telegraph. The obstetrician stated that birth statistics in the Czech Republic had been recorded since 1949, and there was no mention of any quintuplets. So, was Canova the first mom in this region to ever give birth to 5 children? It turns out that in the Czech Republic, quintuplets are born only on an average of about once every 480 years. What makes this even more interesting is that the odds of conceiving quadruplets naturally is 1 in 7 million. But what about quintuplets born around the world? Most multiple births are the result of IVF. Most multiple births are the result of IVF. But since Kinova conceived naturally, is it possible that the answer to this mysterious multiple birth lies in her family genes? According to Dr. Kinova and Dr. Kroshin, twins run naturally in both their families. Because of their combined family history, it's not surprising that they gave birth to quintuplets. Caring for one child is tough enough, but 5 can be exhausting. Did they have enough help? People from all over the world offered the couple donations to help support their huge family. They also received plenty of help in taking care of the babies from family and friends. Donations were raised to ease living costs. Despite the hurdles that the new family has had to endure to take care of their miraculous children, Kinova is happy raising her children. Even 5 years after the miraculous birth, Kinova hasn't lost her stamina as she has grown into motherhood. One thing that fuels her is the fact that her situation is so rare. The chance of naturally conceived quintuplets is 1 in 48 million pregnancies. Some 800 quintuplets live in the world, more than 130 of whom were conceived spontaneously. With years having passed since Alexandra first learned that she was expecting quintuplets, she never expected her children to fill her life with so much joy. But one thing is for sure, she doesn't want to have any more kids.